Well, good evening, and I'd like to add my congratulations to you as well. This is a tremendous day, a tremendous achievement, and it's an honor for me to be here to celebrate with you, your family, and friends today. Enjoy this day. I know there were probably moments, as the other speakers mentioned, where you wondered, will I ever get there? Will this day ever come? And all of a sudden it's here. So really savor it and really congratulate yourselves on your achievement. I know you have worked extraordinarily hard for this particular moment in time. Many of you came back to NYU to earn your degrees after taking a break, some of you a significant break in your studies. Some of you are changing careers to something completely new. Some of you, most of you, have been working either part-time, full-time, for pay, or no pay at an internship while completing your study. Many of you have family responsibilities on top of it. You have partners, you may have children, you have parents, you have extended families who all deserved your attention while you were studying as well. Some of you moved to a new city, a new state, even a new country to complete your studies and to be here today. In short, you have studied hard. You have written many, many papers, completed many projects, exams. You have gone without sleep, and not to mention you've probably fought a lot of traffic and transportation issues to get to class and to finish your degree. And here you are today, graduating from NYU. Congratulations. I can say, and some people consider me to be an expert from Washington, D.C., this is one of the finest institutions in our country, so you can be proud. Now, of course, with your degree, you have achieved a number of what I would call career-ready skills. You're ready to get out there into the workforce, have a great job and a great career, and I know you will do that. But like any degree program at New York University, you have also acquired some deeper learning and deeper skills that are tremendously important. These are things that will last a lifetime. Skills like creative problem solving, communication, analytical ability, teamwork, and a global perspective. And as your previous speaker mentioned, you're likely to have many careers in your lifetime, but these basic skills will stick with you throughout it all, and you are really fortunate to have that. So you heard a little bit about me in Dean DiLorenzo's kind introduction, and I'm very fortunate to have my job in Washington, D.C. I consider myself to be a spokesperson for higher ed in the U.S., and maybe if you read in the papers, we do have some challenges in this country in terms of getting more Americans to complete post-secondary degrees and credentials like you have. And especially the diverse students, the unique students that have unique and diverse needs today. Being a spokesperson for them is very important to me. But I'd like to tell you a little bit more about my personal story. So you've heard what's on the front of my business card. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the back of my business card. I am what we call a first-generation college graduate. Neither of my parents graduated from college. In fact, my father didn't graduate from high school. All four of my grandparents have sixth-grade educations. Now, these were intelligent people, they were hardworking people, they just did not have the opportunity that many of us have who are in this room today. And they supported me in my endeavors, that was for sure, but they really couldn't give me any, practical guidance or advice. And I believe it's really a miracle that I figured it out at all. And maybe some of you in the audience have a similar background, similar experience to me. And I really understand where you are and the pride that you have and deserve to have today. Everybody does. So I think, I wanted to say I also had the experience of coming back to school as a working adult. I earned my master's degree after I was working full-time. I had 2 children at home, and I know what it's like to be able to do that and balance all of those at the same time. It was incredibly challenging, incredibly hard, but I will tell you that not a day goes by that I do not say to myself, it was worth it. My life would have been totally different had I not participated and completed higher education. In fact, I know I would not be standing up here today, having the privilege of addressing you today. It's not something that I necessarily planned, but my job, I think, my whole career, if I connect the dots, it's been about helping other people achieve their dreams and their goals. I am passionate for the personal transformation and the social equity, economic mobility made possible through our system of higher education in the US, and I work every day to try to ensure that everybody has the opportunities that I had. So I hope that you will find your sweet spot as I did, this place where I'm able to make a difference and something that's very meaningful to me personally. I hope that you find that, and I'm sure that you will. Now, I know you will have your commencement in a couple of days, and this is a convocation address, but it's customary and it's perfect to offer my own advice to the graduates. So, of course, when I was given this assignment, what's the first thing I did? I searched on advice to graduates and came up with a million hits, and every piece of advice was just wonderful. But I thought, if I'm going to do this, I really need to reflect deeply on my own experience. What are those few nuggets that I want to relay? And fortunately, they don't overlap with yours too much, a little bit where it's important. These pieces of advice have been so important that I really do try to think about them regularly, if not every day. So it's my gift to you, take it or leave it. So the first part of advice is really related to your career and to your job. And this advice was given to me by a senior executive at a Silicon Valley high-tech company, and I really do try to practice it. And the advice is, think of your job as having 3 parts. Not just one part, but 3 parts. So the first part of your job is your job description. That's what you're paid to do. And make sure that you do that to the best of your abilities, and certainly your degree here at NYU has prepared you to do that. But that's just one part of your job. The second part of your job is what I call the people component. So no matter what you do, very few of us work in complete isolation. We're working with other people. So you might be a manager where you have employees. No doubt you will have coworkers and a boss, and you will be working in teams. Now, working with people, how many of you worked in group projects during your program here at NYU? Everybody's raising their hands. So you know, it's not something that necessarily you can read from a book and learn how to do. It takes a lot of experience. To be successful, to be productive, we really need to pay attention to what we need to do to work effectively with other people. So that's the second part of your job. Never forget that, the people component. And then the third part of your job is your own continuous learning and professional development. That's a part of your job. Only you are going to be able to care about that more than anyone else. So you'll get your diploma, and it'll be great. You'll frame it and hang it on the wall, but learning does not stop. In fact, your school here at NYU is a school of continuing and professional studies. So every field is changing so rapidly these days that what we learn today, I'm afraid to say, might be obsolete 4 years from now, 5 years from now, 7 years from now, and you will be continually relearning in your own chosen field. But don't leave it at that. You can learn by taking a class, by volunteering for an assignment at work. You can take something completely out of your comfort zone like I did. I signed up for art classes, and it was really a rewarding experience just to learn something new. The point is, never stop learning. So again, the career-related advice is your job has 3 components. I like to think of it as 3 bubbles. And sometimes one bubble is bigger than the others, but the 3 bubbles are your job description, the people component, and your continuous learning. If you're going to be successful, always pay attention to all three of those. So now a little bit of personal advice. And again, it's hard to narrow it down to just three pieces, but I think I did. These are the most important to me. First piece of advice is don't be afraid to take risks. I think risking, we have a fear of failure, and certainly we're not always 100% successful when we take a risk. But just think of what you did here. Applying to your degree program was a risk. Taking a class that you knew nothing about the subject matter, how many of you did that while you were here, is a risk. Joining a new team, working on a new project is a risk. And did it pay off? Yes, of course it did. Of course it did. So this is a quote. It's attributed to a Chinese proverb I like very much, very simple quote. It says, "Pearls do not lie on the seashore. If you want one, you must dive for it." So that's my advice to you. Always be willing to take risk. Sometimes I feel like I learned more from my failures and when I wasn't as successful as I did when I was successful. My next piece of advice is remember to listen. Now, you've just finished finished your degree program, and I think when we're in school and we're at work, we're rewarded both extrinsically and intrinsically for speaking, for conveying how much we know. And I think sometimes as we're listening to people, we spend more time thinking about what we're going to say next rather than what that other person is saying. I think the people who are most successful are those who really can get out of their heads, concentrate on the moment, and listen and connect to what the other person has said. It's a skill that must be constantly cultivated and learned. And I think that's something that I would like to leave for you. I have a quote about listening as well, and this is from Doug Larson. He said that wisdom is the reward you get for a lifetime of listening when you would have preferred to talk. How true. So again, remember to listen. And this is my final piece of advice to you, and it may sound a little bit like a cliche. I think it dovetails very nicely with some of the advice that your other speakers have given. And my advice to you, my final piece of advice, is to remember to feel gratitude and remember to express that gratitude. I think it's increasingly difficult in these days where we hear about the exciting lives of celebrities, famous people. It's all out there for us to see. It's easy to feel that we fall short, that sometimes maybe we're missing out on things. Now, don't get me wrong, it's definitely fine to achieve and to strive for more, but don't forget that it's also important to feel gratitude for what you have right now. Now, you were given a gift today because you were given the opportunity to give a round of applause for those people who supported you, and there's many, many of them in the room today. Your family, your friends, your professors, the staff at NYU who supported you. They may have supported you financially, emotionally, with practical things like childcare, food, little things like that. In short, these are the people whose shoulders you stand on who allowed you to rise. So remember that moment and feel that feeling of gratitude and try to practice that. Again, I have another quote for you on this. It's a quote by Eric Hoffer about gratitude. "The hardest arithmetic to master is that which enables us to count our blessings." So again, feel gratitude. So a couple nuggets of advice for you. And to close today, I would like to read you a poem. When I was a dean at UCLA, we had one of our writing instructors, creative writing instructors, write a special poem for our graduates. And I'd like to dedicate that to you today. It's a poem, it's short, by Laurel Ann Bogan, and it's called Commencement. To begin, we educate, whose very root means to lead out of self, to lead out of another self, the knowledge to lead. And so it goes, from the bramble of ordinary life comes a desire for more, a spark, perhaps a flicker. Whether it catches fire or falters is up to the high school science teacher who wishes he could write poetry to change the world, the accountant whose dream to create and build living art through landscape architecture is unfulfilled, the waitress who believes she can help others find a better life if she masters human resources. It comes to this, commencement, today, after the books you've read, after the papers you've written, after the blueprints you've drafted, today, after the lectures you've heard, the discussions you've been part of, the hours and days and weeks and fellowships of class and classmates. Today, ideas have been planted. You have nurtured them and cultivate them, from seedlings to knowledge, from knowledge to wisdom. Now you will commence to lead out of yourself the gift of what you have learned, whether for yourself or for others, begins. Thank you. So now it's your beginning. Congratulations again. Go out and do great things. Thank you.